Dilute phase conveying has minimized, especially in a vacuum sense, has minimized the amount of I/O that's required to move that resin from point A to point B. With wave conveying, we have added some I/O points here. We've added a VFD on the vacuum pump as an analog output. We've also added a couple other items at the pickup point with our patented wave valve technology. So it's more variables to manage, but once you really dial that in with wave conveying, you're able to reap the benefits of slower resin conveying. Now, our customers have given us some feedback that over time, learning how to balance a wave conveying system is just, again, it's added variables, it's added I/O that you have to manage. So Conair has developed AutoWave technology, which is truly going to be the future of all pneumatic conveying within the plastics industry, and let me explain why. So AutoWave is a means of taking feedback with a couple of sensors in your system and automatically adjusting all of the wave settings to ensure that the system stays within phase based on wave stream or wave pulse, whatever you'd like to have it selected. But it goes further more than just keeping the system in phase. AutoWave is truly going to keep your system optimized, and that's what I'd like to focus on here today in this segment, because when you keep a system optimized, that not only means that the throughput is going to be optimized, so you're conveying the most amount of material possible to the material consumer at the slowest amount of speed. So that's where those two charts are going to, between speed and throughput, are going to cross, and we are ensuring that that system is staying right at that sweet spot, right at that optimized throughput spot. But also, we're also going to make sure that the system always stays balanced, and that's really more important for this topic, because in a material handling system, there's so many different variables. There's material to air ratios that are being managed. If you have a manual material to air ratio point at a Gaylord, but you're sending it to multiple materials, there's no way that you can ensure that that pickup point is always optimized, because you have different parameters. You have 100 feet, 150 feet, and 200 feet to each of those receivers. That pickup point always has to be set for the worst case scenario, which would be your longest conveying distance. So for AutoWave, every single receiver in the SmartFLX control understands what the parameters are for an optimal conveying cycle, but also as it's conveying, it's reading, it's learning, it's monitoring itself, and it's automatically going to be adjusting all the different settings within the wave technology to ensure that that system is always balanced. How often have any of you had issues where you're out of nowhere, one of your line plugs because a plant operator may have been playing around with a wand setting or under a silo playing around with the material to air ratio, or sometimes your system may have just gotten out of balance over time. If you miss one conveying cycle and the system is fairly designed to its limitations, it'll never really be able to catch up to itself, and over time you may fall out of balance, and then the system is all over the place with respect to how it was set up and managed. With AutoWave technology and having this self-optimize itself and keep it self-optimized, you'll never have a system fall out of balance again. And that truly is powerful, because if a system falls out of balance, downtime is required to take everything down, reset up the system, and then go through the rebalancing process that could take a couple hours, because you have to make sure that resin is flowing through all your receivers based on what your plant is doing with respect to output. So AutoWave is truly going to be the future of this technology.